So we reported just the other day that the Detroit Pistons staffers were preparing to move on from Dwane Casey, and now it has become official. After the Bulls game, Dwane Casey announced that he is stepping down as the Detroit Pistons head coach. And you see the title on the video. It's that the Pistons make a genius move because this doesn't happen all the time. This move of we're going to take a head coach that is a valuable NBA mind, a good coach, a guy who has good relationships with the players, that has done a good job, that understands the game, understands what's going on, and we are going to keep him in the organization. So if you want to take a look with me, there's an article here that I was reading, and it kind of talks about Casey was an NBA head coach for 14 years, the last four with the Pistons. He took them to the playoffs the first year. Many of us forget about that. But the past three, he has shepherded an extensive rebuild. It's not necessarily what he came here to do, but he finishes Detroit with a 121 and 263 record, which would be the second lowest of any head coach in Detroit who coached for more than one season. It hasn't been good. It's not necessarily his fault. Some of it is, but here's the part that I want to talk about that I think is a really big deal, and it's this right here. Tom Gores, the Pistons owner, is giving me an opportunity to move into the front office, Casey said in his post-game presser, according to James Edwards of The Athletic. I'm excited to go to the next phase of my life, to spend more time with my family. This team is on the right track. They probably need to hear a new voice. All right. There's one more thing that he's saying on the back end of that, and we're going to talk about that in just 1 second. But before we get to that, I want to talk about this. Tom is giving me the opportunity to move into the front office. It says, we value you, Dwane. We understand what you're doing. We understand that you are a valuable person in the NBA, and we don't want to just throw you to the curb. You know, a lot of people reacted poorly when I was talking about how the Kings did this with, I think it was Elvin Gentry. And they're like, don't talk about Elvin Gentry. He's the worst Pistons coach ever. Okay, calm down. Like, the reason it worked well is he moved into the front office and things got better. Okay, because coaching wasn't going to be his strong suit anymore. So now what we can do by moving him into the front office, we can get a young coach, someone like Charles Lee, that understands what's going on. And not only is Dwane Casey still there in the front office as a good NBA mind, he's there to help Charles Lee with the other stuff. You can now bring in a coach who has the X's and O's, who does those kinds of things, and they can lean on Dwane Casey for how to run a team. What does it look like when you go on the road? How do you discipline players? How do you hold people accountable? Look at this team. Before the Bulls game, Greg Kelser was doing an interview with Coach Casey, and I thought it was super telling, and I thought it was really, really cool. And Dwane Casey was even talking about how these guys are doing well. You don't hear about them out at the club. This is Casey's words, not mine, okay? You don't hear about them being on the police blotters. That's what he said. I'm like, do we even say that anymore? But just an example of how maybe he's getting a little old. But, like, that will allow us to hire anyone. We don't have to bring in some guy, because Dwane Casey's role in the front office, yes, it can be from a player personnel standpoint, but it can be from a coach personnel standpoint as well. This is really great. And I know we can say whatever we want to about Dwane Casey, that he's old, that he's washed up, that he doesn't know what he's doing, that he's a horrible coach. No, he's not. He was the NBA Coach of the Year. He did great work with two guys. He got more out of DeMar DeRozan and Kyle Lowry than they have ever since that point. I understand Lowry won it when Kawhi came. Okay, but I can make the argument that the Raptors would have been able to win it when Kawhi came as well. But Kyle Lowry hasn't been able to get it done in Miami. DeMar DeRozan has been the best player on the Bulls team for the last 2 years that couldn't get out of the first round. Okay, so, like, Dwane Casey's a good coach, and he is going to be a phenomenal mentor. And here's the part that I wanted to share with you. The very last 4 words of this highlighted portion says this: "This is my decision. This is my decision." That means he wasn't forced out, and maybe they just said, "Hey, you can say it how you want." They were being nice about it. But when I hear "this is my decision," it tells me I knew it was time for me to step away. I want more time with my family, like he said. He's excited about that nice cushy chair in the front office and not having the spotlight on him all the time. This is his decision. If he decides in the future that he wants to coach again, he can get back into the coaching ranks. But right now, he has a nice spot on a team that he wants to be a part of, and he wants to be part of what's going on here. And he knows it's time for a new voice. Like, he gets it. So now the exciting thing is, and Chris is going to have a video coming out talking about who those potential replacements are going to be. So make sure you keep an eye out for that video and see who those replacements are going to be. Ladies and gentlemen, I know it was really, really difficult to watch the Detroit Pistons this year. I watch at least 75 of the 82 games every single year. And this year, 60, 55, somewhere in that range. A lot of games you'd find me, what? At about halftime, I couldn't make it through. It was hard. And next year, as hard as this year was, this is the most exciting offseason we've ever had. You have Cade Cunningham that's going to come back from injury. So you have a number 1 overall pick coming back. Jaden Ivey was looking great the last half of the year. The last quarter of the year, great. Good the last half of the year. Killian Hayes is looking serviceable now. He's looking like a guy who could run a bench unit, a guy that could play 25 minutes a game and not hurt a team necessarily. Don't turn off this video when I talk good about Killian. One of the big men is going to show up, and you don't know who we're going to get. We could draft anywhere from 1 to 5. Please be in the top 3. Please be in the top 3. Speak it into existence, y'all. Pray, do what you got to do. Do it. But like, this is a fun off season. Hang out here. This is where you're going to catch all the Detroit Pistons stuff that you need. Let's go for it. This is what we do. We love the Lions. We love the Pistons. Hey, reminders on what's coming up on the channel. In under 3 weeks' time, we have the NFL draft. Really excited for that. And then we're also going to be looking at, free agency, football, basketball. We're going to be talking NBA draft. Like, there's a lot that's going to be going on as the playoffs are happening too. So make sure you check out the channel every day. Hit the subscribe button below, and we'll see you on the next one.